Here are a few of the reasons why JD Vance could end up being a great pick for VP for Joe Biden and the Democrats. A prominent union leader has said that a Trump-Vance White House is a corporate CEO's dream and a worker's nightmare. It's the billionaire ticket through and through, the president of the Association of Flight Attendants added. So I want to turn back to the AFL-CIO president, Liz Shuler. It's the nation's largest federation of unions. Bear in mind, the Republicans are trying to make like some sort of overtures to unions by having, the head of unions speak with the Teamsters. So says if elected, they would eviscerate unions and empty workers' pockets just to boost the profits of their corporate friends and donors. It's no surprise Trump chose a vice president who will be nothing more than a rubber stamp for that anti-worker vision. So what has he done? Well, he's introduced legislation, this is JD Vance, to allow bosses to bypass their workers' unions with phony corporate-run unions, disparage striking UAW workers while collecting hefty donations from one of the major auto companies, and oppose the landmark Protecting the Right to Organize Act, which would end union-busting right-to-work laws and make it easier for workers to form unions and win strong contracts. We have already pointed out on the show that he used to oppose right-to-work laws. Then he became a senator, and he could have signed on with the PRO Act. He didn't. No Republican did. None of them were co-sponsors. No. It had 48. They were all Democrats.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
He ran a very tough primary in Ohio for Rob Portman's old seat in Ohio, and he had to become more toward CEOs. He had to move more towards CEOs in that state, especially in that primary. And it was a primary that was so conservative that Josh Mandel, who everybody thought would be the person there, wasn't conservative enough for them. He had to leave the race. There was a guy named Dolan, there was Gibbons, and so that race in and of itself is what brought JD Vance farther to the right. But again, he's not, he's a chameleon in that way. Whether or not this is really in his soul, we don't know what his soul is.
Yeah, or if one exists. But in any event, we're talking about the ticket, and I think it does line up very well, his newfound opposition to unions. Let's move to, very briefly, here's an old video of Donald Trump talking about unions.
It's the same thing with the unions.
That's right.
They get their little 5%, they get another 2%, they get another 3%, 4%. Then all of a sudden they're making more money than the people that own the company.
Okay, so that is your populist God emperor saying that union employees make more than the owners of companies. I'm not gonna fact check that because that's ridiculous. And you know that it's ridiculous. But I wanna throw out a few other things and I want your opinion. So JD Vance has said that he is potentially interested in devaluing the US dollar to boost exports. I mean, considering all the talk about inflation, that's an interesting strategy to make the dollar worth less, but okay. Let's see. We also have this. This is from back in April 2011. So JD Vance then, writing as JD Hamill, wrote, "Tomorrow, Representative Paul Ryan will release his highly anticipated budget plan. Early reports suggest that along with serious changes to Social Security and Medicare, the budget will trim nearly $4 trillion from the 10-year budget deficit. I don't know how the left will react, but I'm confident that they'll overreact. And I'm hoping that when the dust settles, we're having a more intelligent conversation about spending cuts than we have had during my lifetime." There, he is talking about cutting Social Security and Medicare. Again, populist. And that's not the only time that he aligned himself with cutting Social Security. On his own blog back in December 2010, he wrote a piece titled "The Deficit Problem." There, he lamented that the GOP's base of aging white people prevented them from taking action to cut Social Security and Medicare. And again, that lines him up with Donald Trump, who talked to CNBC's Squawk Box in this campaign and said there's a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting, and in terms of also the theft and the bad management of entitlements. And Trump said that after attacking primary opponents for talking about cutting Social Security. He then turned to talking about cutting Social Security.
Right, I mean, and that's the game plan, it seems, on a consistent basis. And we talked about it earlier in the show, right? I mean, you say one thing, you do another. This convention says one thing, and then they have the Teamsters on, and then they have JD Vance as their pick, who said these things about right to work, who said these things about corporate tax cuts. So you've heard the sort of the turn of phrase, "nothing matters." Well, certainly at political conventions, nothing matters, and certainly to the crowd that they're playing to, nothing matters, because whatever they say is how they act electorally, especially here.
Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.